I think that's one reason why this workshop is so important, because we're starting with just the history of racism. And racism started to be legislated in the 1640s. And so if you just follow that history, and that's part of what we plan on doing in the workshop, just up, through even before we were a country, just colonies, and just see how it was embedded and how it's so embedded in our society.
It gives you motivation and encouragement. Martin Luther King, he doesn't know how things are today, but because I have learned about him and I have learned about a lot of the principles he has taught, I think he would be proud to know that a lot of those have passed down to me, especially. And I have a right, I have a duty, to make sure I incorporate those in my everyday life and make others aware of those.
William Barber says, that if you look at your circle of friends and they all look like you, then, you're pretty narrow and you need to widen your circle. So I think that he realizes, just as Dr. King, that you need to reach out to people who are different from you, not just racially, but in all ways.
There's a lot of people who doesn't necessarily know what goes on behind the scenes, or why exactly we're doing what we're doing. So I feel like the first step should be to educate people.
There are a lot of things going on from not talking. Wars are happening because people can't talk. Disagreements are happening because people can't talk. Violence is happening because people can't sit down and calmly talk, even if it has to be two people in a room with no cameras, as long as we find a clear understanding.
We need to speak out using the principles of nonviolence, which is what Sojourn is steeped in. And one of the principles of nonviolence is that you want to defeat the injustice, not the person. So I'm not about putting you down. I'm about making you see or being aware that what you're doing is not right.
In the area, I would like to see our officials getting involved more in the situation, because there's a lot that goes on with people who are in the community who don't necessarily know the higher ups or who don't have connections with the higher ups. So I feel like our officials should, or they could, seek out what's happening in the community.
If you have to do something in the dark and you're afraid that it'll come to light, that doesn't make you stop and think maybe this is wrong. Maybe this isn't the right way to do it. Because maybe you may feel one way. But like we said before, if we just talk about it and let's say, well, this isn't right. This is very secretive. Why is it like that? You'll start to realize things that even you didn't know about. I'm not saying whites are perfect. I'm not saying blacks are perfect. I'm not saying whites are right, blacks are right. But we all need to understand that there are a lot of things we don't know about. A lot of secret things that we do need to bring to the light.
I think that's one of the principal goals of the civil rights movement is hope, and that you can't give up on hope. So yes, I see that there's change, but we also have to keep the momentum going, because once the momentum slows down, then people will be complacent and want to go back. So we have to keep pushing and keeping this in the forefront right now while we have the momentum.
For over a century, Farmers National Bank has stood strong. Through booms and busts, peaks and valleys, we've learned to know the seasons and how to grow in each of them. During challenging times, everyone is reminded of the value of solid relationships in both life and business. Farmers, stand strong.